bad news is the sun's going down, so I'm going to talk longer. I'm very happy to be here, happy to be with all of you. Let me just first give many of you who haven't heard a report on my wife Elizabeth. A lot of you know she was diagnosed with breast cancer the day after the election. She's doing great, doing great. And second, and from her perspective, equally important, she said when I got on the plane to come here this morning, you tell those people in Connecticut that I'm for Ned Lamont. I'm very proud to be here for Ned. This campaign, including the primary election, is about change. It's what America is hungry for. America no longer wants the same old politics that they've now seen for decades. They're looking for not politicians, but leaders. They're looking for somebody who will tell them the truth about what's happening in America today, and somebody who has a different vision for where America needs to go. The man who is telling the truth and the man who will provide that vision in the next United States Senator from Connecticut is Ned Lamont. I want to take just a minute and all of us together step back and think about what's happening in the world today. What's on our television screens every single day. We've seen the fighting in Lebanon. We've seen Hezbollah. We've seen Hamas launching missiles out of Gaza into Israel. We see Ahmadinejad, the president of Iran, a guy who claims the Holocaust never occurred, wants to wipe Israel off the face of the planet, a sworn enemy of the United States, trying to get a nuclear weapon. Now you think for a minute about what that means. Iran gets a nuclear weapon, the Saudis will have a nuclear weapon, the Egyptians will have a nuclear weapon, the Syrians will have a nuclear weapon. So then we have a nuclear Middle East, the hottest, most dangerous, most volatile place on the face of the planet. And in the midst of all this, there's Iraq. A civil war, as Ned just made mention to, going on in Iraq right now. I want to say something personal to all of you. He hasn't heard me say this before. I voted for this war. I was wrong. I should not have voted for this war. And I take responsibility for that. And I also want you to know this is not an easy thing for me to say. And the reason is very simple. Our men and women who have served in Iraq and the men and women who have died in Iraq, they didn't make a mistake. They didn't do anything wrong. They were patriotic and courageous, and they did what their country asked them to do. It is important for me personally, and I think also important for all of us. I go around the country and around the world, for that matter now, talking about America's moral responsibility. I'm going to talk about it in just a minute. But the foundation for moral responsibility is to tell the truth. And for me, it was important to tell the truth. And I don't know how anybody in their right mind can think what's happening in Iraq right now is working. How can anybody possibly believe that? 6,000 Iraqis have died in May and June. More attacks, almost double the attacks this past month as we had in January. More roadside bombs planted in the month of July than at any time since we've been in Iraq. It's obvious to anybody that what's happening there now is not working. We need a change. We need a change in policy, a change in direction in Iraq. We need to make it clear that we're going to leave Iraq. And the best way to make that clear is to actually start leaving. And there are places in Iraq that we could bring troops out right now. At least 40,000, 40 to 50,000 troops, places that are already secure. The President of the United States could say to his military leadership, if he wasn't stuck the way he is now, that I want a plan to make sure that our combat troops are out of Iraq in 12 to 18 months. But none of that's happening. It's not just the Middle East, by the way. Other places in the world. Russia, in the last 4 or 5 years, has moved completely away from democracy. A country that had gone to democracy in the 1990s now is an autocracy. All these things are happening. And what is America doing? We're reacting. We just react. There's absolutely no indication that we have any long-term vision for the kind of world we want to live in, the kind of a world America should be leading in.